Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. There's no other species on the planet that has an eye interesting as the human eye. And when you zoom in really close and you look beyond every other aspect of the human body, but when you focus on the eye, it's absolutely amazing. It's like a microcosm, like a mini galaxy. We are told that the eyes are the window to the soul. And this idea becomes so much more clear to me, personally, when I look at the human eye like this, close up. Is this a glimpse of what resides inside the human being? Is this a glimpse, literally, of the soul of this particular human being? You know, we're living in a time of extreme corruption. And this corruption doesn't just extend to politics or to Hollywood. There's also a corruption taking place within. And I believe it's affecting millions of people all around the planet. So I recently watched a short documentary on MDMA and club kids. And another name for MDMA is Molly, but they used to call it ecstasy. And they were talking about how so many people right now, all around the globe, are using more Molly. They're using more ecstasy. There's a very high demand for this drug. And many of the people that use this drug were saying the same things. It creates an overwhelming feeling of empathy. And it suddenly occurred to me really how sad this is. It seems that so many of these people are so locked into their own narcissistic ways that they can no longer feel, that they need this drug so that they can feel again. So I started looking more into ecstasy and where it comes from. And what I found is a great example of what I'm talking about. It's this corruption taking place all around the globe. The key component for this MDMA comes from a very rare Cambodian tree. And there's such a want and a need for this drug that they're literally wiping out these trees. So many years ago, this ecstasy was more of an underground phenomenon. It was attributed primarily to what they call, quote, club kids. But those days are far and gone now, because it's no longer just about the club kids. This is no longer just a fringe phenomenon. They're finding an increase in usage now by everybody from high school kids all the way to lawyers, doctors, and professionals in general. So it occurred to me that this is yet another example of that growing corruption. And this connects corruption of the human being and also corruption of the planet. Because there's so many people on the planet right now that can't even feel emotions. So much so that they have to use this drug just to feel again. But to obtain this drug, we have to destroy elements of the earth. So here we are destroying the earth just so we can feel again, so we can have emotions. When I'm researching for a video, I spend a lot of time in different forums, all kinds of forums. I like to see what people are talking about. I never engage, I just observe. And one subject that's really fascinating to me, and I've seen a lot of people talking about it online, it's when other people's eyes literally turn black. And typically this is when they're angry. There's violence involved. Now, of course, they have a scientific answer. They always have a scientific answer. I've seen a few places where they try to blame it on the fight or flight response. They say when someone gets angry, their pupils dilate. And I guess that's understandable, but when you start reading more and more responses to these scientific answers, you find people looking more into the spiritual aspect of this. Could this be some form of possession? The eyes are the window to the soul. What are we looking at when someone's eyes turn completely black in a fit of rage? The more I looked into it, the more I realized there are hundreds of these kinds of responses. Here's one from one of the forums called Seeing Demons in Everyday Life. In 2005, I was involved in a bad relationship with my youngest daughter's father. Lauren was a hot-tempered man. I was praying a lot and talking to God in my prayers. Several times I dreamed I was battling a demon in my dreams. Lauren started to abuse me and my children on occasion. In Lauren's eyes, sometimes I could see them change into, quote, demonic eyes. Lauren's eyes would get real squinty and look pure evil. And here's just one more pertaining to the black eyes. It says, "Hi, Dr. Montgomery. I read this page and I had to comment on it. I, too, have had seen someone's eyes turn completely black. Actually, in a few different people. The first time I was at a martial arts workshop. One of the senseis was standing in front facing our group. A different sensei leaned over to him and said something. The first sensei then reacted to what he said. His face became flushed, and his pupils dilated so big you could only see the black in his eyes, and he was staring right at me. I didn't freak then, but after the workshop it creeped me out. Actually, it scared the crap out of me. Another time I was working on a temporary assignment at a company. I was sitting next to a man who was pretty much a total stranger to me. I had only been on the job for a few days. I said something casually to him, and he turned at me and said something to me really off the wall pertaining to my spiritual self. But as he was saying it, his pupils dilated just like the other person. You couldn't see any white in his eyes. It seemed to me as if something else took over his body or mind and was speaking to me, and not actually him speaking." Now here's just another example from one of these forums when their eyes go black. Have you ever noticed that? When your abuser is in a rage that his eyes go black? I thought that mine was the only one who did it, until Live Life mentioned that her abuser's eyes did that too. It scared me because it didn't seem to be his pupils getting bigger. It was like something black overtook him. Has anyone else ever experienced this or knows what this is? So we ask ourselves, what could cause a human eye? Something beautiful, something mysterious. Something like this. What can cause this to turn into something like this? Perhaps we could ask Joe Biden. Some of you may remember this story. It actually went mainstream back in 2013, that Joe Biden's eyes seemed to go completely black. This is a picture of what his normal eyes look like. And here's what his eyes looked like during the State of the Union address, when they went completely black. And here's yet another image of that same situation. And I'm sure they had a reason for it. I'm sure there were excuses put out there, and, I'm not really sure. I know this is a real phenomenon. And I thought this is really interesting that you could tie it into a public figure like this. So even in Joe Biden's case, is this an example of something medical? Or are we actually looking into the window of his soul? And if that be the case, it's kind of creepy what we're actually looking at. So moving forward and into another subject I'm really interested in, and that's exorcism. For many years I keep finding these stories about exorcists or about exorcism. Even right here, exorcism is thriving in the U.S., say experts, and this is from ABC News. So this exorcism and these exorcists, it's becoming such a popular topic that they're actually making more and more films about it, documentaries. And this is from October 23rd, 2017. Chilling film explores rise of real-life exorcisms as priests drive demonic spirits from possessed people. Speaking of which, let's take a look at a trailer for one of these new documentaries.
Bombarded with young people who are possessed.
Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
Le cose che facevo, secondo te, erano una normale?
No, è una posseduta però.
Una pazza. Se non è posseduto, sogno pazza.
Lui è una cosa.
Questo è un lavoro consacrante, non se ne rendono conto. Squilibrio! Stia attento.
Non lo riesco a controllare, quando succede e basta. Io poi quasi manco me lo ricordo, davvero.
Ecco perché io ho il terrore, vedi quando ti dico di uscire, mi raccomando, stai attenta, perché ma devi stare attenta, perché sai, siamo sempre là, il demonio è terribile.
Sei mai andata da un psicologo per poter verificare che il problema non fosse a livello umano?
Di conseguenza non possiamo dare la cura. E cominciando a fare un percorso intenso appunto di preghiera e liberazione, ho cominciato ad avere le prime manifestazioni.
Sembra un micetto bastoniato, vero?
Sì. Qui dentro, in questo momento, possedute, ce ne sono 6, 7 o 8. Mi volgo a te, Satana, principe delle tenebre. Ti maledico, ti scaccio dalla mia vita. Stai zitto, stai zitto. Ti rifiuto, Satana, spirito maledetto e menzognero, Satana, vai via. Vai.
Determinati disturbi, che tu ci creda o non ci creda, esistono. Io non ero credente quando mi sono successe queste cose, eppure esistono lo stesso.
This is from September 11th, 2017. That's the devil's baby. A mother stabbed her newborn baby, claiming it was Satan's. So no coincidence here. There are a plethora of films that have come out over the last several years, all about demonic babies being born. Oftentimes it's just a demon baby, and other times it's actually the devil itself being born. And we know Hollywood is all about lesser magic, whether everybody involved in making the films understands that or not. More often than not, a lot of these occult-type films are literally mirroring what is happening in our reality. And of course, this same rule applies to exorcism, as we're seeing a rise of exorcists, a rise of exorcism-type stories in the news. There are tons and tons of movies and TV shows out there all about exorcism, exorcists, demonic possession on the rise. And of course, this is just one example, but I think it's a really good one. There's a very popular TV series called The Exorcist on Fox now, and it's in its second season. But again, I find it interesting that we're seeing these stories manifest in our reality, and we also see them manifesting on our TV screens and movie screens. And kind of bouncing off from there, I'll go back to the first season of The Exorcist TV series. One of the plots was that the Pope was going to be coming to America. So they kept putting up these very cryptic posters. He is coming. Of course, there's the Iron Cross. So this reminded me of another theme I see play out a lot in media over the last few years, and it's really the idea of this rising, of the rise of the Antichrist, also the rise of demonic possession. Because even in this season of The Exorcist, the first season, they had a group of people that were demonically possessed, that were driving around in vans and going into people's homes and capturing and killing them and using them for sacrifices. So to better understand the mind of the devil, to better understand the mind of those who worship him and follow him, his minions, we have to study them. We watch them. Marilyn Manson is a case in point. He has a new album out, and this right here is one of his songs, We Know Where You Effing Live. But what takes place in the video is very interesting. In the video, Marilyn Manson and a group of, quote, sexy nuns break into a suburban home. And inside the home, it's just a typical white American family, middle income. They also appear to be Christians because there's crosses on the wall and pictures of Christ. So Marilyn Manson and these, quote, sexy nuns break in with guns and weapons and hold the family hostage. At the end of the video, you get the idea that the family was slaughtered. So again, we have that continuing theme. We know where you live. The Satanists know where you live. The darkness knows where you live. The possessed know where you live. And they're coming to get you. This is all about the hive mentality of the possessed mind. This is about them rising. And as I had said, to better understand these people, to better understand this movement, or the mind of the possessed as I see it, we have to watch. This right here is a picture from the LaBianca Tate murders that was carried out by the Manson family, several of the followers of Charles Manson. It might not be that easy to see the word that's actually written right there on the wall in human blood, so let's take a closer look. Rise. Once again, it's rise. I see this as a spiritual call to arms. And this goes back many years. It's been with us for a long time. It just seems to be manifesting a lot more now. It's the rising up of that satanic hive mind. And here's another one. Possessed villagers suffer agonizing fits and see demonic visions after officials claim to find creepy voodoo doll. Exorcist warns vampire ritual killings are on the rise after spate of satanic initiation murders. This comes as an exorcist said that devil worship rituals are happening across Mexico. And we know that's actually happening around the world. And here's another news story that really pulls all this together. Russian ex-cop tried to build a zombie army by... This is the satanic hive mind at work. This is the rise of these possessed people, in my opinion. So I show you all of this, I discuss this subject so you understand that there is a very real spiritual warfare that's taking place right now all around the planet. For these wicked entities, we are seen as food. And it's my belief the only protection we can have against this, and the only way you can really engage in this spiritual warfare, is through a connection to our Heavenly Father. A connection through His Son, Jesus Christ. After years of looking into these subjects, to me this is the ultimate answer. So as always, I appreciate you watching my videos, liking, sharing. And I appreciate you supporting my work. Thank you as always for watching. Keep your spiritual eyes open, because that's what time it is. To battle back or to be protected against what's happening, we have to be aware. So take care out there, okay? I'll talk to you a little later.